Good afternoon, everyone. This is the time and place for the Legal and Finance Committee meeting on August 14th, 2019 in the council chambers. Could we please start with a roll call and determination of quorum, please? Here.
Yeah, I think we should do that.
Okay, we have a quorum. Next, let's move on to the adoption of the agenda.
Move to adopt.
We have a motion to adopt and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Now is the time for members of the public to discuss and express concerns to the council on any issue not on the agenda. Action will not be taken at the meeting on any issue not on the agenda, except by placement on the agenda by unanimous vote of the council members present. We have a couple speaker request items, but they are on item number 7, which would be consent. So we will deal with them during consent item.
I'll pull it.
Okay.
Okay.
So moving on, do we have any, consent items are number 1 through 9. Do we have any council people that would like to remove any items 1 through 9?
Remove 9.
All right, Mr. Lehman would like to remove number 9.
I'll remove 7.
Ms. Drew is removing 7. Do I have a motion to approve 1 through 8 with the exception of 7? We're removing 9.
Oh.
Okay. So consent items 1 through 9 are approved with the exception of 7 and 9. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. So we are now down to number 7. And the chair recognizes Darla Drew.
I have no personal problem with this particular item, but we do have some speaker requests, so I'd go ahead and refer to you to go ahead and deal with those.
Thank you. So our first speaker request is for Michael Brown. Could you please stand up to the lectern and state your name and address?
My name is Michael Brown. I live at 4395 Big Sky Drive.
And what are your comments here for us today, Mr. Brown?
Well, I'm here to object to the renaming of Big Sky to Patricia. I'd like to understand why the renaming is necessary. I did learn more just a few minutes ago than I knew walking in. I understand that there was initially the idea that Patricia and Big Sky should connect, possibly, or not. There's a gap of land that separate the two, and it's debatable whether or not that's ever going to connect. So I don't want to change my address. So my complaint there is perhaps a little petty. But if there's not truly a need to change that address, which is a significant inconvenience, and you'll hear from others who will be greater inconvenience for, then I simply wish to voice my objection to that, and I'd like to hear a strong rationale for why it needed to happen.
Okay, thank you, Mr.
That's
Brown.
what we got.
You want to speak before I call on the rest? Okay. We'll move on to our next speaker, which is Dan Winger. If you would state your name and your address for the record, please.
Good afternoon. I'm Dan Winger, 4394 Big Sky Drive. Also, Brian Harms of 4430 and Scott and Carrie Brown, 4431, asked me to speak on their behalf also. They're of the same mind. Again, we're talking about it, not just a little inconvenience, but a colossal inconvenience. And we've been dealing with these lacks of plannings. I was the first house in that neighborhood, in that subdivision. I was the first one to move in there. There were cattle grazing on Patricia, where it is now. And There has been almost zero planning. The streets don't even line up with each other exactly, and I understand you might bring it through, but it is not just a small inconvenience. I run a business out of North Dakota, and I run two companies out of, one out of South Dakota and two companies that are in North Dakota, and they're all linked to my home address. This is a problem. This is a big, big inconvenience. And I would wish, when you consider this, if you'd consider your own addresses being changed and what you'd have to go through to do that. There's zero planning, there's been very little planning or good planning out there, and this is just another example of it. And we've been enduring that. I've been enduring that for 19 years. So I would ask that you consider not changing Big Sky Drive. We got streets in Rapid City that are one street and they got two different names. And everybody is surviving that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Dan, if you and Michael would just maybe stand by, the council members might have some questions after we get through the rest of the speaker request forms. The next person is Brad Sloan from the City Division Manager. Brad.
Good afternoon, thank you. Yeah, I'm Brad from Billing Services, and we had the planning, sorry, we don't have, the director's not here today, he's in Pierre. The planning took in a development plan application to extend Patricia Street off the end of Big Sky over to Timmins, which would kind of create a connection there. As I understand it, and in the long-range probably street plan, that connects from Big Sky into Patricia, the old part of Patricia, to the east. And you can see the map that's been provided to you. Yeah, and it's true, the first houses were built in 2000, or two more were built in 2001, so the houses have been there for 19 years. Typically, you know, just like the gentleman said, that there are streets in town where they butt into one another, and that doesn't work very well for police, fire, 911, even post office. They don't like that sort of thing. And of course, we're not changing it just to appease them, but it does create, it does perpetuate this bad planning, as was stated earlier at the podium here. But if you approve it, and it went to council and it was approved, we'd have to do a road name change and change it, and we'd graciously give people, you know, a year to change their addresses. But if you deny it, I think the engineer is here too. I think he'd have to go back to planning and go to a Plan B and submit a different plan, you know, to do this. Now, if they're not going to hook up that Patricia Street to the east through the ditch, I remember that when that occurred, you know, 17 years ago. I wasn't a planner then, but I remember them arguing about that it didn't, the developer at the time didn't want to build a culvert or a bridge across that little tiny drainage just right there. And so that needed to be something that a city should do, you know, that a developer shouldn't have to build bridges and, you know, things like that. And it never got done. It never got connected. And so to just approve it to allow the roads to butt into one another, it's probably not the best thing, because it's true, we have those all over town. We have dozens and dozens of road names that are bad already, and we don't need to perpetuate that. So you're just going to get stuck with making the good decision here today. So that's all.
Okay. The next speaker, thank you, Brad. And the next speaker is Kyle, is it Hibbs? Hibbs from KTM Design. If you would state your name and your occupation for the record, please, Kyle.
Hi, Kyle Hibbs, KTM Design Solutions. I'm the engineer of record. What Brad said is true. We submitted a preliminary subdivision plan showing Patricia Street or Big Sky Drive. The road continuing to the west, eventually it'll connect in over to Timmins, right just north of the storage units. The reason why the street name change was put on us, as far as I understand, was that to have a continuity of street names, just like what Brad was stating, that it's not good practice to have the same street name, two different names. So from a life safety standpoint, 911, anybody living on the same street alignment as Patricia or Big Sky Drive should be named the same. This being said, my client and me as the engineer, I don't anticipate building a bridge over top of that drainage. The city engineers and planning staff may have a different opinion on providing a project for that. What my segment is just simply continuing the road from its western terminus to the west. So if you have any questions on my project, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Okay, if you'll stand by, and we have one more speaker request on this, and this is Ms. Doyle Estes. If you would like to come to the lectern, state your name and address, and probably provide some history on this road.
Good afternoon. My name's Doyle Estes. My address is Box 330, Rapid City, 57709. I am the owner of DTH LLC, which is the applicant. This road extension was never planned until a year or so ago when the city of Rapid City approached me and they needed to take sewer services from that area east of De Geest and bring it west so they could connect to Elkvale. And the way they wanted to bring it, or the way we struck to make it, was to extend water and sewer through what is now going to be called Patricia or Big Sky Drive. If you go east of De Geest, that street is called Patricia, which is the name I ascribe because I named streets out there after my family, and Patricia was my mother's name. And I am now proposing to take advantage or build on what the city did when they extended water and sewer from De Geest through that area to the west, and where they connected to Elkvale, and it comes over west, and it'll come north to what's called all the way to Timmins, but it's really Neal Street. We're going to come over to Neal Street, and then it comes and connects to Elkvale right north of those storage units. So it wasn't a plan to extend that street through that subdivision until the city of Rapid City built the water and sewer. And if you drive by that area, you can see there's a big ditch. And part of the project now is we're going to grade about 340,000 cubic yards, and we're going to flatten that ditch so we'll have houses on both sides. We have started a 25-lot subdivision on the south end of that area in an area called Big Avenue A. And this project, where we would extend Big Sky Drive or Patricia a bit to the west, and then south we're adding 34 more lots. So it's part of the development in that area, which we're going to add within, hopefully by the end of October, we'll have 59 more single-family lots in that area. So that's why it got extended. I'd never anticipated this road coming through there until the city of Rapid City extended water and sewer, so that's it.
All right, very nice. You might want to stand by for questions, and I will go with that. I will go to Darla Drew. Darla.
It seems that we would like a map of this to be displayed to us while we're talking about this particular project. Looks like Mr. Hibbs is approaching. In the meantime, I guess in the interest of continuity, and as we go forward as a city, I think I would agree with going ahead with the renaming of the street as Patricia. One of the things I've actually just been thinking about, and it's unusual this should come up at this time because I live in West Rapid, and we have Susan Drive, which turns into 32nd Street. For no reason. It was Susan. It's now the Oyate Health Center. I think it's time we look at changing that name to make it more in congruence with the rest of the street. So for the growth of Rapid City, yeah, we're going to run into these problems where names are going to have to be changed, or streets are going to have to be looked at in a different manner. And as inconvenient as it might be for a business, I understand that. I own a couple of businesses myself, and I understand that these are problems. But I think that a street name change is something that's not insurmountable. Thank you.
Mr. Hibbs, did you have a map?
I do.
Would you mind putting it up on the screen for us? And then if there's some way this could be attached to the agenda for the council meeting, that would be nice. Mr. Hibbs, would you like to just show us on the map where we are going to and from,
Sure thing.
and where our Mr., sorry, I lost your names, Mr. Winger and Mr. Brown's houses lie?
So my project would be extending from this point on Big Sky Drive or Patricia Street to the west, and then our current phase would stop right about here, eventually with it tying into Neal Street and then being able to access this Timmins Boulevard Homestead Street intersection. My project involves it stopping right about here and creating cul-de-sac with single-family homes lining both sides. About 34 lots is what we're looking at. So as to the gentleman's home's location,
It used to be on the other side there.
On the northwest.
so the northwest quadrant is Dan,
Yep, across the street's me.
this one, no, to the south. Okay.
East is Harms. That one's Brown, so just north of that is Harms.
Okay. So Harms, Browns, and Michael. So then Patricia Street, you know, is this road right here as labeled. This is the area where the connection would be in the future, where we discussed a bridge to be going in that would be provided by the city.
That would be
Are they-
provided by the city.
Are there any other questions from council members?
I do.
All right, Darla?
So you've proposed the bridge or crossing or whatever this might be to the city?
Nope, that would be a city project funded and paid for by the city.
Is that contingent on this development happening there or not? It isn't?
Negative.
Okay, all right, that's all, that's my question, thank you.
Item 7 reads, approve resolution number 2019-064, a resolution requesting a portion of Big Sky Drive to be renamed to Patricia Street.
Move to approve.
I have motion to approve by Drew, a second by Stroman. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And I'm going to say nay because I want it to appear on the calendar on Monday night. So this will be on the calendar again Monday night, and if we could have a map approved, attached, I would appreciate that.
And planning.
And planning will be here Monday night, so we will have probably some more information. Moving on. Number 9, authorize the mayor and finance officer to sign an agreement between the City of Rapid City and Yasmin Dream LLC for the construction of drainage channel on Johnson Ranch property. Okay, we have a motion to continue this until October 2nd by Lehman, seconded by Drew. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Okay, it's approved. That is the end of the consent calendar. If there's any public comment on items 10 through 50, now would be the time. Seeing no public comment, public comment is closed. We move on now to the Finance Department. Acknowledge annual TID or TID report to City Council.
Move to approve.
Move to approve by Drew, second by Lehman. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 11, introduction and first reading of ordinance number 6351, an ordinance concerning the Opportunity Capture Fund Oversight Board. And we will go to Darla Drew. Darla.
I have a question for the finance officer, please. So Pauline, could you explain to me what this is, the ordinance concerning the Opportunity Capture Fund Oversight Board? Is there a change you're looking at?
So basically, all we're doing is changing it from Rapid City Economic Development Corp. to Elevate Rapid City LLC, and then also clarifying the terms of the appointed individuals period that they're on there. Because right now, the two that are appointed by the council, they were supposed to overlap, but they didn't. They both were put on just straight 3 years, so they're all the same time. So this would create an overlap for those positions.
Okay, great. That's all the questions I had on it. That's pretty clear. Thank you.
Okay, do we have a motion? Motion to approve by Lehman. Second by Stroman. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 12, introduction and first reading of ordinance number 6346 regarding fiscal year 2020 appropriation ordinance.
Move to approve.
Motion to approve by Drew.
Second.
Second by Stroman. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no, and I'm going to say no, because I'm still waiting for some information. Yeah, I sent an email to the mayor's office yesterday asking for a little bit more data. Well, I'd be glad to, Pauline. Thank you. And Chair recognizes Drew.
So if any of us want a further report on that before we meet tomorrow night, we can ask your office for that, Pauline, because we were wondering where we could get more detail on the proposed budget.
Right now, Tracy is working on more detail, but it's not going to be like in the weeds detail. It's not going to be the 200 pages plus.
No.
But we're still trying to summarize things, not to the extent that it was summarized in the mayor's presentation, but also not as detailed as that 200 pages. Though that will be getting attached to an agenda if it hasn't been already. I'm not even sure at this point. I've been in meetings all morning. So, but once we have that, if you have additional questions, by all means, you can reach out to my office, or you can reach out to the department directors if you have questions. My preference would be to direct questions through me, so that way we can compile the answers and share it with all the council members instead of one-on-one conversations, so you guys might know one thing and somebody else might know something else type of thing. I would like for you all to get the same information.
Thank you. We appreciate the assistance.
Okay, thank you.
Moving on to City Attorney's Office, number 13, second reading, and recommendation of ordinance number 6347, an ordinance to amend section 9.28.020 of the Rapid City Municipal Code relating to throwing stones and missiles.
Move to approve.
Motion to approve by Drew.
Second.
Second by Stroman. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 14, approve resolution number 2019-062, a resolution establishing the City of Rapid City Archery Antlerless Deer Access Permit Program.
Move to approve.
Motion to approve by Drew. Second by Lehman. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 15, second reading and recommendation of ordinance number 6352, an ordinance removing the requirement to have a runoff election for a municipal office by repealing section 1.16.030 of the Rapid City Municipal Code.
Second.
Motion to approve by Lehman, a second by Drew. All approved? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Move to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn by Drew, second by Lehman. All in favor? Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for coming.
Got through some serious.